News 8's Carrie Vick joins us with more on what the jury faces next week.
Lisa and Mark, the jury already gave up three weeks of their time for this trial, but their biggest challenge is still ahead of them. Next week, they'll begin the process of deciding whether Eric Koula is guilty of killing his parents. And once they start deliberating, there's no time limit for when they will make a decision. Testimony is over, and Eric Koula's fate will soon rest in the hands of 12 citizens, the jury.
And ultimately, the jury is going to have to decide, I think, whether or not the evidence that suggests Mr. Koula might have done it is sufficient to convince them beyond a reasonable doubt that he did do it.
Both sides of the case have done their best to convince the jury of Koula's role in the murders.
Well, the primary strategy in the defense, as best I can tell, has been to point out the evidence that the state doesn't have. The prosecution has a very strong circumstantial case based on opportunity and motive that the person that they're accusing, Mr. Koula, committed the murders.
And now it's up to the jury to sort through the hours of testimony and piles of evidence to make their decision, a decision that will be made behind this door. Once they start, they'll be sequestered, meaning they'll essentially be kept away from the rest of the world.
You would not be allowed outside communication, so except in the company of sheriff's deputy or the bailiff.
It's a job and sacrifice that no one is taking lightly.
They don't seem to be getting bored or drifting off or falling asleep, as sometimes can happen. They've been asking very intelligent questions, and so it looks to me like they are taking their job very seriously, and we can anticipate that they're going to do a good job.
We are deeply appreciative, and I keep saying this, but I mean this very sincerely. We fully appreciate the sacrifices that you've made so that you can participate in this case.
And when they'll emerge from behind closed doors with a decision is anybody's guess.
And you shouldn't read anything into it if it takes them more than a day or more than 2 days. With this long a trial, the number of witnesses and the number of exhibits in the hundreds, it would not be surprising if it took them several days to go over the evidence and reach a decision on what they think.
Now, there are 3 possible outcomes from the jury deliberation. 1, they unanimously decide he is guilty. 2, they unanimously decide he is not guilty. Or 3, they can't come to a conclusion. If that's the case, the state will have to decide if they want to start the trial all over again.
Thank you, Carrie. If Koula is found guilty, he will face life in prison.